G'day, welcome to today's video. I'm going to be drawing Megatron from the Transformers, and I'm going to show you 3 strategies that will help get your proportions and guidelines correct to make Megatron the exact right size. Let's start. If you've only got a pencil, you can do this. So see how I've placed the pencil on one side of Megatron, on the other side, and then now let's look at how high he is. He's 1 and I would say 2/3. So he's nearly double the height as he is the width. So when we draw it, we can help with accuracy like that. Another thing we can do is if you've got a grid sheet like mine, you could place the grid on top. And this is great for getting angles of things. So see like the negative spaces. If you don't have one of these, you can actually make one just with a piece of clear plastic and draw some lines on it with a permanent marker. Now you can see that he's not quite, if I put that there, he's not quite 3 blocks wide, but he's actually 1, 2, 3, 4.5 blocks tall. So that gives you a bit of a understanding of the proportions of Megatron. Another way you can get things looking accurate is by actually using a ruler. Now I've got a circle guide here with a ruler on the edge. He's actually in this picture 8 centimeters wide by nearly 12, he's 12.5 exactly. And there's some strategies on how to get proportions looking good. You use maths. Now with the work that I've just done, I can reuse that and actually set up some guidelines. So if we said he was 8 centimeters wide and I want to draw an actual sort of size replication to here, we can put some guidelines. Now the reason I've put one on the 4 is because that's going to be the middle line, and I'm going to draw a really light line for that. Now we measured him and he was 12.5 high, and I want him in sort of roughly in the middle of the page. So that's going to be the top of Megatron, 12.5 down here. Now we could use more maths and we could measure all that, but I think that as a basis will give me a really good heads up on this. And I'm also going to use my little template here that I've got, my little guide, to help me as well. So now I can see that if I'm matching it up, I can have, that's his chin line. I'm just going to put on some actual other pieces, and then I've got, this is where his body is going to be, and where his legs, his feet are going to be coming up from here. We can look at angles of things. So see how that's coming up. That's coming up, these are coming down, this is coming in, and then that curves around. So we can really start to see positive, we call this the positive shape. Megatron's the positive shape, and we can look at the negative shapes that are created around here. So we can see that the gun is nearing the bottom here, so it's about there. Sort of, I'm going to just draw an angle through the middle of that, of where it roughly comes. His arm is out this side. I'm going to just draw some, I'm doing on what I call guidelines, and I'm going to start to then work out how the rest of him is going to come along. Now if we wanted to draw this bigger, what we could do is we could potentially rule up the grid and rule up a grid here and then transfer it up, but I'm just going to sketch it out now by what I've got. Now you can see that that line there actually comes on a down angle. This comes up, these parts are the tricky parts when you're drawing Megatron. Coming down slightly as well, comes up. Now I'm going to put that middle line there, and it's about 1 square down, and then a little bit is, that's where it comes out to. I'm just going to draw a couple of angle lines like so, making sure they come on the right angles, and that comes out, yep, that hits there nicely, looking pretty good. So going to do roughly the same on the other side. Not an easy drawing to do. That comes in, same sort of angle, comes down, coming down, nearly touches the edge, and then curves around. A curve. So this one comes down, up, this one comes nearly out to the edge and then curves, and then that curves in like so. Then we have another bit that curves. So that's that bit. We have this other straighter. It's not quite dead straight, but it's straighter. Not as deep a V as this shape. Let's have a look at that. We could use a ruler and see if that's lining up as well. This is what we call by comparing. And then this is a good way to get things looking accurate. Now we've got that comes slightly down there, and I'm just going to give that a slight curve. Now we have these little bits of Megatron coming up, and this one comes, bring this base bit down here, a straight line down there. Now this comes out here, comes across, comes down. Now when I was a boy, I loved the Transformers, and I've watched in the cartoon series with the awesome soundtrack. Now he's got a curved semicircle there. The Autobots versus the Decepticons. It was such a cool show. And old Megatron used to transform into a gun back in those days, and Starscream would shoot him. Okay, there he's got his angry mouth. So in a lot of drawings, if you want to see angry or get that impression of anger, you can see the down eyebrows for that. Definitely helps. So I've got the head looking pretty good. Finish off these little bits. Now remember, later on when I outline it in a black pen, that's when I can tidy up any little bits. Alright, now his body, so that comes down in line with his head, so we can bring that down. Now you can see how a grid system, doing something over your picture, can help a lot. Get it looking accurate. Counting, looking, really concentrating on what you're doing can really help. Now I could use a ruler if I really wanted to, but I'm not using a ruler in this drawing. I'm doing it freehand. And the Decepticon logo, kind of tricky. I may have, hopefully I've got a purple liner that I can use for that later. A little bit of robotic work here. Another shape, another line coming across. This is slightly narrower, as you can see, and then across here and then up. So what we do on one side, we're doing on the other side at the moment, because he's quite symmetrical. All right, let's get these legs on. So that's straight across. I can see that that's straight across. If we position him, yeah, pretty narrow top part of the legs coming out. He's got these like little holsters on the side there and there. All right, feet. These are a funny shape because they've got a slight curve on them at the bottom. And then he's got, these are flat. So flat little rectangle that curves back the other way like the other one. Rectangle. Now this comes back on an angle, that comes back on an angle. This comes up and this comes down like so. So down, it's got an angle kicking back, and then we've got the side of inside of the leg. It's got some little bumpy bits in there that we can put in later on. Okay, so we see just a little bit of the oval shape for the gun, and the rim is coming up because it's below the center line. This comes up, this is like a cylinder piece, round a bit there, rectangle with a circle, and then this part here is also an ellipse, and then he's got all these grids coming through like so. That bit, just got to round that off a bit there, joins in, and he's got some other bits coming off his gun, another little bit there, another little bit there. Now his finger, I can see just part of that finger and a little bit there where he's holding the gun. On that side, there's obviously some more details in here. Now his other arm is not quite down as far as that, so I'm going to basically put an oval shape. That's his hand that comes up. Then he's got the bit that comes out where his arm joins onto, little rectangle part there. Okay, doing my best to have a look and compare. Now the fingers, this is his palm, this is going to be his thumb, so his thumb's coming down like so, and he's got a finger that comes up, and his fingers are sort of shapes like so, and that's his palm of his hand. Almost rectangles, but you can see how they slightly get thinner there. And then here's his little finger coming back in, and there's his hand. That comes down. And there we have Megatron, looking pretty good.